Have you ever wondered what it would take to completely rebuild a country's government, right from the very foundations? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at a detailed transition plan from the Correct movement, a group pushing for massive constitutional reform in the Philippines. So, let's break down what they're proposing.
I mean, really, think about it. How do you do that? How do you rebuild an entire system of government? That's the huge question this entire proposal is trying to answer. And we're not talking about small tweaks here and there. This is a plan for a total overhaul, designed to tackle problems that have been around for a long time, but, and this is key, without causing total chaos in the process. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay, so the whole plan is framed as a response to what they see as a historic crossroads for the Philippines. It's presented as this detailed roadmap to really modernize the country's governance and, well, chart a completely new course for the future.
So you might be asking, why such a drastic change? Well, the plan lays out some very specific goals. It's all about modernizing how the government works, giving more real power to citizens and local regions, and making the country a much more attractive place for foreign investment. And, this is a big one, it's about trying to loosen the grip of entrenched political dynasties, all while making sure the transition from the old system to the new is as stable as possible.
All right, so to hit those pretty massive objectives, the entire plan is built on three core pillars, what the source material calls a three-point agenda. Think of these as the three main engines that would power this whole transformation. And here they are. First, radically opening up the economy. Second, a huge shift from the current presidential system to a German-style parliamentary one. And third, a gradual, citizen-approved move towards federalism that's combined with a major reform of local government. Let's break each of those down.
So, the first big pillar is all about the economy. The core idea here is to take these really rigid restrictions on things like foreign ownership out of the Constitution itself. So instead of being set in stone, these rules would become normal laws that Congress can change and adapt over time. The hope, of course, is to make the economy way more dynamic and competitive.
Now, to make sure these economic reforms aren't just a bunch of empty promises, the plan includes an incredibly strict accountability clause. Get this, it says that if officials fail to get the new economic laws passed on time, they'll be immediately removed from office and banned from holding any public office for a full 10 years. Wow, that is a provision with some serious teeth.
The second huge reform is political. The plan is to move away from a system with a directly elected president and shift to a parliamentary system. What does that mean? Well, Parliament would choose the Prime Minister. This makes the head of government directly accountable to the legislature all the time, not just to voters every few years. The goal is really to encourage more cooperation and coalition building, and to finally put an end to that winner-take-all style of politics.
The third reform introduces something the plan calls evolving federalism. And this is interesting. It's not a top-down command where someone in the capital just flips a switch. Instead, regions would only get federal autonomy after they prove they're ready by meeting specific benchmarks, and, this is crucial, the citizens of that region approve it in a direct vote, a referendum. It's designed to be a gradual, bottom-up approach to decentralizing power.
And tied right into that is a major shakeup at the local level. The proposal calls for a council-manager system for local governments, or LGUs. The easiest way to think about it is like this. The elected city council acts like a company's board of directors. They set the vision and the big policies. But the day-to-day work, the actual operations, are run by a hired professional city manager, kind of like a CEO. The main goal here is to professionalize how local governments are run and separate that from political patronage.
Okay, so those are the big ideas. The what. But a plan this massive is pretty much useless without a practical roadmap, right? How would you actually pull this off? Let's take a look at the step-by-step timeline they've laid out.
As you can see, this is not happening overnight. It's a very deliberate process spread out over nearly a decade. It would all kick off in 2026 with Congress passing a law to get a constitutional convention going. That convention would then meet in 2027 to draft the new constitution. Then, by 2030, the people would get to vote on it in a national referendum. If it passes, a special pioneer parliament gets elected in 2031, which all leads up to a full handover of power in 2034.
Now, this raises a huge question. You're probably thinking, why would any current politician vote to change the very system that put them in power? And that's a fair question. The plan actually addresses this head-on with some built-in incentives. It preserves the terms of the current president, the VP, and Congress. It also makes them eligible to run for the new pioneer parliament.
and the president could even have a shot at becoming the prime minister. It's all designed to get their buy-in and make sure the handover is stable.
So, a really key piece of this puzzle is something called the Pioneer Parliament. You can think of it like a construction crew that's building the new house while the family still lives in the old one next door. It would be elected in 2031, and this special body would work alongside the existing government for 3 years. Its one and only job is to prepare everything for the big switch, setting up new ministries, new local reforms, to ensure a totally seamless transition when the time comes.
So we've gone through all the details, the reforms, the timelines, but let's just zoom out for a second. What's the big picture here? What are the core principles that are really driving this entire ambitious plan?
When you boil it all down, the entire plan really rests on 3 foundational principles. First, empowering citizens, giving them more direct votes and better local government. Second, boosting the economy by making the laws more flexible and modern. And third, taking very concrete steps to weaken the power of political dynasties.
And that whole anti-dynasty thing, it isn't just a single law.
It's actually woven into the fabric of the entire plan. For instance, evolving federalism gives citizens the final say on regional power, not the politicians. The proportional representation voting system it proposes, called a mixed member model, or MMPR, makes it much harder for one family to just dominate an election. And, as we saw, professional city managers are meant to cut down on the political patronage that dynasties absolutely thrive on.
In all of this, every single step in this long process is leading to one specific date, July 1st, 2034. According to this roadmap, that's the day the full handover is complete. The Pioneer Parliament assumes full authority and the new system of government officially goes live.
Ultimately, the authors of this plan presents it not just as a technical, political document, but as an aspirational vision. A vision for a nation where, in their words, opportunity, fairness, and progress reach every Filipino.
And that leaves us with the final question, doesn't it? The proposal lays out a detailed, ambitious, and very long-term path for fundamental change. Whether it's a practical blueprint for the future or just a theoretical exercise, the question it forces us to ask is a powerful one. Is this the roadmap to a new Philippines?